it.
Gotcha. Did you want me to screen share at any time or anything like that, or is it all gonna be on your end for like
It's
if you're
up to you.
showing
If you
it?
want, you can. Yeah, sure. But I always stream it so like people from my community or whoever else outside my community joins can ask questions. So
Oh, okay.
yeah.
I'll go
I
ahead and load up a build of the game anyway, just to have it in the background.
Oh yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, sure. Yeah, I always appreciate that. By the way, if my guests are showing their game as well. I always my plan is to, by the way, if I haven't talked about that, to have like an edited intro, outro, and gameplay segmented version on YouTube as well. So basically, I always say this that the pure stream version on Twitch is like the saved VOD and the live stream version, and the YouTube I will have like an intro, outro, and gameplay segments that the games we talked about or talk about. So yeah, that's the plan. That's the plan.
Okay.
Yeah. Let me check on Twitch if everything is working
Okay.
correctly because OBS sometimes messes up my. Let me check on Twitch if everything is working
Okay.
correctly because no, it's working. OBS sometimes messes. It's working fine. It is working fine. Okay. You have my Twitch link, right? So if I'm correct about it. Yeah, you have. Yeah, okay. Okay, let me sit into my original position here, like I'm always saying. And, ladies and gentlemen, good morning on my time, evening time. Let us know, ladies and gentlemen. Let us know if we can start. Let us know. Let us know. Let us know. Hölgyek, urak, hogyha kezdhetünk, szóljatok. Is the voice and video quality fine on my end? Please let me know if there is no lag so we can start the stream. I will double check myself as well. And then we can actually start. By the way, sorry I'm double checking everything. Is just like sometimes there were lag in my stream and sometimes like I had some audio issues, so
I get it. Like once you're live, right? I mean, you can't really
yeah, it
take
is. Yeah, true. That's the downside of like making a live stream, but it seems okay. Okay. Dear Houston, let me know. Let me know if you are down to start. Let me know.
Okay, I'm good to go.
Okay. Welcome everyone in the very new episode of my Dev Life show. Today I'm joined with Houston Holmes. I hope that I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Let me know if not.
Yeah, that's correct.
He's the creator of the RPG game called Fate, and I would like to say that I'm very thankful and very honored that you joined us for today's episode. Like I'm always saying, let's start with a little bit of introduction. So please introduce yourself for us.
Okay. You already said my name's Houston Holmes. I've been doing game dev for around, I want to say 8 years now,
Okay.
on and off with a full-time job.
I see.
I learned a little bit of Unreal Engine when it first came as like a free tool to use, and then kind of went to college for computer design. And then afterwards, like I kind of just started working now, and I've kind of just been working on this project for the side for the past 4 years.
I see. Thank you for that. So my very first question would be, what was your very first contact with video games as a player, if you remember those times of your past?
My grandpa was a really big like techie back in the olden days and stuff. He was like a military person.
I see.
So he used to do electric wiring in the military. And when he kind of got out and he started doing other jobs, he started working for a company called Intelsat that makes satellites.
I see.
So he would kind of like do a lot of stuff involving technology. So he made sure we had a home computer. And generally, I got to play like most of the early consoles. But my biggest memory would probably be playing like really old Sonic games.
Nice.
Like Sonic and Knuckles when I was a kid.
Nice. From that point of your life, what was the transition when you realized that, okay, I love playing video games, but I would also like to work on games? So what was the transition time, that light bulb moment in your head when you realized, okay, now I want to make the first move, the first step in order to work on these games?
I think it kind of happened when I got out of like high school and like my senior year.
I see.
Everyone was kind of playing like a lot of League of Legends and stuff, and I got to Diamond, and I was really happy about it. But then I was like, I'm not gonna be able to make a career out of this. So then I went to college, and I thought, I kind of always wanted to make a video game in general. So I started right around then.
I see. What was your first project? Was it Fate or was it something earlier before Fate that you made a game, like a smaller game?
I would do I would do a lot of game jams where I would do
I
like
see.
small things, stuff
I
like
see.
that, but nothing ever concrete. Like I almost never finished the game jam because I had so much schoolwork to do.
I see.
But I kind of restarted Fade like three different times.
Yeah, I
Originally, was
remember
putting it
that, by the
under
way.
like testing type.
I see. I see. More personal question for me would be, by the way, were your parents, close friends, and family supportive about this decision that you would like to make the first move in order to work on video games in the industry? How do you feel about that?
My family's more hands off because I mean, at the end of the day, it's kind of like it started as a hobby for me, and it
I
still
see.
kind of is.
I see.
I'm still like based with the current structure. I'd still be working a full time job and working on Fade
I
unless like
see.
I get a publisher or something out of the blue. So a lot of it is just like a passion project, and I've kind of been independent since college, so no one really has any stake in what I do in my spare time.
I see. I see. Is it important, by the way, for you to have a mentally supportive background in your life in order to chase your dreams? How do you feel about this?
I definitely agree so, because I mean, if you don't have a stable basis to work on things, it's not going to be really easy for you to organize your thoughts.
I
And a
see.
lot of it kind of hinges on me being able to like go to work, write down ideas, come home, have a plan to be able to use like 3 to 4 hours for game dev,
I see.
in a like a reasonable manner to kind of get things done.
I see. I see. What was the causing effect, by the way, behind that decision that you started and still are working solo on your game? So, what was the decision causing effect behind that idea?
Only because like there's a lot of scammers and a lot of sketchy individuals online, mainly like my experience on Twitter.
I
I
see.
probably get like a message from someone saying they want to partner up and make a project, or they want to work with my project like at least like once a week. And a lot of these like ones I'm getting are just like AI fake accounts and stuff.
Yeah,
And
yeah. The dead
originally it was just
internet, we could
really
say, right?
yeah, it's just really hard to find someone who's like on the same wavelength, who
I
has the
see.
same kind of life setup or situation to be able to work on the project together. Because all of my like spare funds are going into this
I
project,
see.
except for my savings and stuff. So it's kind of like this is all just a passion project. Only recently have we gone to Kickstarter to make it more than that.
I see. I see. You mentioned, by the way, that you have a full time job and it is your passion project that you are working on. How do you balance your free time between those? And of course, having a everyday life as well, like other hobbies and meet out with friends and
Um,
family. How do you balance those times of yours?
So I'm a customer service guy. So generally, like I'll like have a shift where I'll work in office for a week.
I see.
I'll normally write down my ideas on paper there, and then once I come home, I'll normally like if I have to work from home that week, I'll normally have all this stuff at my disposal to kind of just work on
I
side
see.
projects and write
I
stuff
see. I see.
down. So it makes it possible for me to work on things. But generally, I always try to make sure I'm at least putting 3 to 4 hours into game dev at least once a day,
I see.
and then I generally would just kind of like break that up on the weekends, so I do it in the mornings, and then from the rest of my day, I just go to the gym and just do whatever.
I see. I see. Do you always constantly think about your project, by the way, where you're when you're doing your 9 to 5 job as well? So are you always
For
influenced by everything you see in work field as well? Well,
I have to put blinders on for certain things, like certain like newer RPGs, because I don't
I
want
see.
to like as a game designer, but also like as like a person who loves playing games. It's very easy to be influenced by new
True,
stuff you
true, true,
see,
true. So you would like to
and
stay
I'll
away, I guess, from it.
yeah, like I don't want to like be exposed to every like new thing that comes out.
I see.
But generally, I'll like write down my ideas and think about my project a lot, and then if I see anything that's interesting or something I could build upon, I'll definitely like think how can I incorporate that into Fate.
I see. I see. Throughout the journey with Fate, by the way, what was your favorite part or parts about the process of making the game so far?
It was probably like the reformation right now because
Okay,
it's been in early access for 4 years. When it originally started out, it wasn't in its best condition, but it was like playable like as a classical RPG.
I
You
see.
could run it on a lot of like lower power systems. And we ended up getting on IGN. I got to meet Reggie and a bunch of people who kind of reviewed and tried the game. I was really excited about. And then later on, I realized after that that I need to fix this. Like the game's current state needed way more polish.
I
So I
see.
started over, and I guess like with the amount of like experience I had, it was like it took me, I think, at least 2 weeks to get the game back to where it was when I originally had it before, but with way more quality. And that just generally just made me like gave me more passion for game dev. The fact that I had grown so much as a developer.
I see. I see. I see. When you started, by the way, making Fade, what skills did you have, and what skills did you have to learn in order to start this enormously big project of yours? Like it's not a small game,
Um,
right? So we can tell that there are so many very nice elements of it, like the gameplay system, the very nice looking graphics, the good story. Were you be able to like handle all the situations, or was there something that you had to learn on the way of the process of making your game?
so one general thing that every developer needs to learn first is scope, knowing that you don't want to stretch yourself too thin, and you have to be realistic regarding what your project can
I see,
accomplish.
I see, I see, I see.
Um, that's why I originally went to early access because the idea was I could build it in blocks. But early access changed, AAA stuff like that. A lot of these bigger companies would like make a project, keep it under wraps for like 5 years, and then
True,
say
true, true,
we're
true.
going into early access when it's 90% done. And I can't compete with that. Like if they release an RPG that's 90% done, and I'm still like at let's say 30 or 40%, it's naturally going to impact like a lot of things and expectations for players. So a lot of it comes down to just knowing, like learning and just really getting that experience trying in game dev, and then learning how to build things in blocks. If you look at things as like one large thing to build, like if you look at saying I want to make The Witcher 3, you shouldn't look at it like that. You should think I need to make this inventory system, I need to make this combat system, I need to figure out how I'm going to keep track of new items and how I'm going to do iterations and updates. And once you block out all those things, it kind of just turns into like time management of when you're going to start things. And it really makes a lot of projects approachable.
I see, I see, I see. Did you always had this mentality of like scaling down things in order to gain a bigger project in some weeks or months or years? Because it's rare, right? A lot of people are like going into game dev if they are in the game devs, making their smaller projects, not their dream game for the first time, right? So it's not that common that like you went full into the big dream game. So what was the mentality behind that? Did you always have this mentality in order to like go fully into the first biggest game that you would like to create?
So for that, I blame Reggie from the ex Nintendo CEO because
Okay,
literally when I was working on Fate and I got into that competition, I was convinced. I was like, okay, I'm gonna take a step back. I'm gonna make a simpler RPG. The idea was it was gonna be kind of just a roguelike where you
I
go to the
see.
floors of a dungeon and you just have items and stuff like that with souls like combat, and that was all it was gonna be. And then he had to talk to me after the basic competition, saying that I need to keep pushing it, I need to keep trying it, and that I had something, and that's why I kept building it.
I see.
Um, so over time, I've reduced the scope drastically, and it's more approachable. Like I wouldn't say like it feels like more of a dream game to me because it's like what I've pictured in terms of story, but it's like one chapter in these other games I want to make.
I see.
So I think like now it's way more reasonable and feasible than it used to be. And that's why it's more okay for me to work on my quote unquote dream game versus just like making other projects,
I see.
which I might still make side stuff at the same time.
I see. I see. I see. Speaking of story, by the way, for how long would you like to players to have this game in their hands? So how many hours uh, players will be able to enjoy the story of your game, the finished one, like not
Okay.
the early
Well,
access one, but
Souls likes are kind of determinant on player knowledge and how they decide to play through.
I
You
see.
could really speed run and make a lot of different pieces of Souls content very fast by
I
just
see.
knowing what to do. But for people just exploring for the first time, I'm expecting with like the four different zones and the final zone to fight the final boss and stuff, that's probably going to be around 80 hours
Okay.
or
Okay.
more in terms of gameplay.
Nice. Nice. Nice.
Um,
Nice.
and that's like me assuming you're going to play all the side content as well.
I see.
um but overall, like I've like gone through enough time to like kind of design and write down everything in a design document I have, so generally it feels like that probably be around the amount of time you can expect to play it.
I see. I see. I love that. I love that. That you're aiming for a longer story. I love that. Nice. You have spoken, by the way, about like your favorite parts in the process of making Fate. But what about the hardest part or parts of the process of making your own game?
The hardest part has to be Unreal Engine fighting you. It is a great engine, but it can fight you in any way possible at a random point. If you decide to change a file name, it'll freeze. If you decide to move something and it doesn't like it, it's going to move half the files. And I'm really big on organization. So some days I'll like lose, let's say, 2 hours to me trying to make sure that new documents and new things are all organized in Unreal Engine. And also, like, the packaging process can take a while for new updates. So that's probably like the hardest thing. But once I'm like, really like set on designing something, I could generally get it done in a few hours. Like when I wanted to go in and redo the inventory system, I basically gutted the whole thing, made a new one in 3 hours, and I was able to put the patch out like the next day. But then like the next week when I want to make changes to that same system and then Unreal Engine decides that, I can't use it for like at least an hour, then we run into problems.
I see. I see. Speaking of influence, by the way, what was the influence behind the whole theme and the story of your game? How did
Okay.
it all started for you?
So originally, I was really big into Fable growing up,
I see.
and my brothers basically play Fable 1 and Fable 2,
Nice.
and they had that classic way of teaching you, like, this is what you have to do for your first
True. True.
playthrough,
True. True.
and
True.
then
True. Yeah.
play it again as
Like the
a villain and
narrator of
stuff.
the game, right?
Yeah, and I really loved that whole concept. And then later on in life and stuff, like, I played a bunch of other RPGs
I
and
see.
stories and stuff. And I always come back to Fable that, like, I really wanted something else like that in terms of demon doors and just stuff from its world, which is very
True.
unique to me.
True.
And then that's when later on I became a big fan of Full Metal Alchemist and just anime in general. And then when Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood came out and basically just completely fixed my view of Full Metal Alchemist from the original anime, made it like a way more cohesive and fast story. I was like, I really see I could take inspiration from this and really kind of find a way to try to amplify the story a little more, but just trying to translate into a Souls like. Because the idea of fighting different homunculuses that have different enemy types and stuff like that, and different abilities and niches that they run with, would be a cool concept of going from place to place.
I see.
And over time, like I've been writing this other story basically about Raizus, Baltaine, this whole like continent and stuff in peril. So it just seemed like it all just kind of went together naturally.
I see.
And then, of course, I was really big on Dark Souls. So it was like my favorite kind of combat system. And also, I understood it the most out of any other combat system.
I see.
So I figured I could probably implement it pretty easily.
I see. I see. Speaking of Dark Souls games, by the way, and Souls-like games, what is your aim with the difficulty setting for your game?
So I would say I want it to be kind of like a Mega Man style in terms of design, where if you understand what an enemy's weakness is, the boss or different enemy types should be like a little like minimum difficulty,
I see.
like where it's not crazy. But if you try brute forcing everything like with like the wrong stuff and everything, of course you're gonna have like a negative like experience.
I see.
So generally just making sure that all the enemies are balanced and the difficulty feels kind of like moderate throughout, but then of course for like side content and like harder content where I put like better rewards behind things, there'd be a higher scale of difficulty in terms of bosses having more health or just doing more damage.
I see. I see. There was, by the way, an online function in the first phase where I remember seeing your game for the first time. Is it still in the plans of your game or for your game now that you launched the second or the third early access? I'm not remembering. I'm not sure about it. Is it the second or the third early access?
So in the first,
no, sorry, Kickstarter. Kickstarter. Sorry, I'm rusty today. Kickstarter. Yeah.
okay, oh, you're fine. So for the Kickstarter, there was the option of like, well, more so it originated from the Fade's first early access. We had a working system basically where, like, let's say if you were, sorry, my cat's on my lap.
Very cute. Very cute.
Yeah, we had a system in mind where basically you would have these kind of aura wisps when you die in different places or when other players die, that their energy would manifest as an enemy that you could fight, similar to the way Neo
Oh.
2 does it.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
yeah, but it would be more so like instead of you choosing to do the fight, basically, let's say if you lingered in a place for too long or you killed a certain amount of enemies, the bodies of those enemies would attract someone who's attracted to a combat scenario. Like their energy wants to, face someone of a similar strength.
Okay.
And that was the whole concept. But the issue with that is it involves server upkeep,
I
keeping
see.
track of all these different things like on current and concurrently. I don't really have the resources like From Software does.
I see. I see.
So
I
it's,
see.
I more so just dropped it for the time being. Now, if we were to, let's say, get substantially funded on Kickstarter, it'd definitely be something like to think about in the future. But for now, it's just on pause.
I see. I see. I've seen, by the way, a lot of people asking in your comment sections under your YouTube videos that are you planning to add PvP in the future? What about those questions?
So PvP, maybe not with this title, mainly because like I'm still very new to game dev experience and
I see.
servers
I
and
see.
stuff.
I see. I see.
So like if I were to like let's say like long time down the road, let's say I finish this at the estimated time frame and everything gets released. Like maybe in the future, try to plan if I have a larger team that would understand multiplayer because I can understand how to design weapons, design sets, basically everything you can think about in an RPG. I just don't know how to translate those over a server. And I don't have a team to make sure I do that without having like lag, which preferably like, I know nowadays to have I forget what the term is. Like they want to have something playback netcode,
Rollback, or something like
rollback
that.
netcode.
Rollback. Yeah,
That's
yeah.
what it is. That's like the best thing for fighting games, and if you're in any kind of competitive scenario, that's the best thing to have.
True.
I wouldn't know how I would implement that into a Souls like or understand those systems well enough to really implement it. So I'd want to do that maybe on like my next game with the
I
team.
see. I see. I see. Do you have, by the way, like a list of ideas? What games would you like to do next after Fate is finished and completed?
Oh yeah.
Nice.
Um, the next thing has to be like player choice is going to be minimized. It's going to be a fairly linear experience.
I see. I see.
Um, and then I might churn out a roguelike, possibly within Fade's world,
I
with
see.
one of the facets of the game.
I see. So it means that you would like to stay in this universe that you have
Oh yeah.
building. I see. I see. Another personal question for me would be I believe that all of us creators who make our own craft, we always intend to put our inner self into the craft we make. Either it's experiencing love or loss in the past, or any other experiences from our past. Is this statement of mine true for your craft when you're working on your passion projects? And if the answer is yes, what examples could you name, could you bring to the table?
Mm, I mean, if I were to say anything, a lot of like my biggest draw for society and stuff that I don't pay attention to is like
I
there's
see.
like visible like things that happen, like contradictions people say, like politically, and people just like all these messages and all this constant like banter between people. I like that stuff in stories and plots.
I
And
see.
that's kind of like a part of my world experience that I've kind of put into the story. Very rarely are you going to get a plot line or a story point for me that doesn't have some kind of political relevance in their ongoing world, which causes additional complications in different situations. Like even like the original version was basically like you're an outsider. They have to give you a secret ship status to be able to even fight alongside their country's guards
I
because they
see.
have such restrictions on their people and being out in the field
I see.
that you have to have approval because of the upstream impact it causes if they had travelers going to all these other places and just like let's say like a group of people decided to go to a place, they basically end up getting turned into like a macabre of like creatures and stuff like that. The downstream impact that would have on traders and travelers would be a huge thing. So there's always some kind of like nested interest
I
in the
see.
kingdom that kind of overlaps the story. And I kind of take that from like not necessarily today's politics because it's way crazier than when I started like 4 years ago, but definitely from politics to some degree. Like I love the way Hideo Kojima does those kinds of things in Metal
True,
Gears.
true, 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 true.
Just kind of moving things in a way that kind of more so molds to his story.
I see. Was it, by the way, always important for you to put these messages into the stories and games you make? So was it from the start that you realized that I would like to have these messages for the players out there to consume and to think about constantly?
Nah, 'cause it's more so like an after effect.
I
Like
see. I see.
like I don't intend to try to like show someone like or like pivot anyone's opinion on different things. Like the main goal is always to have fun and for you to interact with the story and
I see.
everything.
I see.
Like I don't want to get into any real politics. I just
It's
like that
understandable, yeah.
weight of like a character's world having more political relevance within their world. and stuff like that. Like when things get serious and it's more so like a cultural issue within the game's lore.
I see.
I don't want any, I don't want any smoke or anything from politics or anything like that
No, it's
regarding the game or
understandable. It's
anything like that.
understandable. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. If, by the way, you would have to describe the message and the feeling of your own creation that you want to give to the players, because I believe so that all creators have a message to give with their projects, even if it's a poem or even if it's like a book or a musical score or a game or a movie. What would be that message of your game of Fate that you would like to have for the players?
Fade's main message is change doesn't happen unless you're the change that causes it.
I
Like
see.
you're the main driving force.
I see.
The character is basically just completely dropped into this world. They have no known relevance to it except for the fact that they've shown up here. They've been given a task, and there's people that are suffering. And overall, everyone, it's they don't trust him completely because of this strange energy that combines with them and all these other things that just kind of that all this stuff's happening at the same time of you showing up, which would seem like you're connected to it all. And unless you make an active decision to defeat these different things and save all these people, otherwise, like they're doomed. And I really like that kind of weight a character has in a story. And I
I
want
see.
when anytime I make a project for you to feel like you're weighted in this world in a
I
way where
see.
you have an impact to make.
I see. I see. Another personal question from me would be, how have you changed as a person in other stories of your own life from being a game developer for so many years? So, what changes have been out there, if there were any changes in your other territories of your own life?
I would say I like social media a lot more now.
I see.
I used to hate social media like passionately. I used to like I was a very cynical person where I thought to myself like it's like wow, have fun posting a picture of that dinner you
Sorry.
made or that restaurant food you just bought and ate. Congratulations, you spent $30. Like I was very like like I just didn't really care about it all.
I see.
But over time, like I realized like this is a way to like see other people's projects and everything. And once I got into more like artistic aspect
I
of
see.
it, like I really see things more as like a part of the project. Especially since I'm the only one working on it. Like you're the person who's responsible for your exposure in a lot of ways when you're a solo dev, and that's kind of like one way that it's changed me to where I'm like more open to sharing my ideas,
I see.
projects, things I've worked on. It's if anything, it's made me more of a social person and more open to different things.
I see. I see. I see. What was the causing effect, by the way, that you were cynical about, like the social media stuff and the online internet stuff? What do you think?
I think me naturally, I'm just more so
Uh, uh,
caution for
you,
things in
no,
general.
sorry, sorry, sorry. Your voice cuts out. Now it's fine. Now it's fine. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
One second, let me move my mic a little closer.
No, no, it's okay. It's okay. It's
But
okay.
okay. I would say if anything for me, it's more so like I was just kind of just like that as a person. Like I always err on the side of caution to anything. Like I always want to read the room on different things before I like used to go ahead and openly accept them,
I
just to
see.
make sure that nothing's like something's at risk, nothing's crazy. Like it'd be like if I was the guy in the room, like oh yeah, AI great, I'm gonna generate everything in AI. Like if you were to take that guy, fast forward to now, he's going to lose all of his money because if you do anything AI related in games right now, you get obliterated. Like, like I make sure I pay an artist for all my art. I'm always going to pay an artist for my art, and I'm always going to make sure that there's a person behind what I'm doing. And if they use the AI to make it and everything, I'm going to scrutinize them and keep them over there, and then like let them do their thing. And but me personally, like I'm not going to delve into playing around making stupid pictures, man.
I see. I see. By the way, your voice is cutting out sometimes. Sorry for interrupting you with
Oh,
that.
okay.
Yeah, yeah. Sorry, sorry, sorry. I'm not sure why, but thank you, thank you, thank you. So, how your perspective from the player side changed now that you are a game developer for so many years with so many experiences in your bag?
I would say like my opinion of players has changed more so in the way where like I now so more understand what people want
I
when they
see,
play
I see,
certain
I
games
see.
and how you get those like great feelings for combat systems and stuff in stories. Um, Now I understand that aspect, like player feel and stuff like that. I still don't understand too much regarding like, player judgment for certain games, like games that aren't even released yet. Like there's a lot of weight in the gaming
Yeah,
industry of just being like really angry towards
yeah,
things. It's almost like you have to like prove like you can't just say I like this project. You have to find a way to justify liking something.
true, true.
But if you hate something,
It's easier.
so it's way easier. You get
Yes,
way more exposure doing it, and a lot of different content creators are in that direction now. So
exactly.
that's the only kind of like aspect of games like the game like players I don't really understand right now. But I think that's more so just social media, like what you see. Like I'm more engaged with it than I've ever been. So like if I talk to my friends, they're all excited about new releases. But if I go to like Twitter or any other like or YouTube, everyone's complaining about the gaming industry dying.
True.
Meanwhile, we just had Elden Ring, Baldur's Gate,
True,
like
true, true,
God
true.
of
Very
War.
true. I
Like
respect your vision about that. Yeah, yeah.
there's
That's
just too many good games for me
true,
to like
true,
be like,
true,
oh
true. So less time to play all the games, right? And yeah, yeah.
yeah,
I can relate to this topic because I always say this that when I started making my first episodes of my double I show, that was the causing effect of making these episodes and this show of mine, because I quit all of my video game journalist jobs because I hated that. Not just like you said, it's very true, the content creators are making this bullshit hate train that I always say, but also the official media is making these like lies and fake scores about video games. My biggest example for this is when I was working for a video game journalist websites here in Hungary. They made me like I wrote a very positive article about the Gollum game. You remember that game probably. It
yeah.
had a 30 plus hour very good story, cohesive story with the Lord of the Ring universe, and I loved it. And people rated it for the worst game of all time, like, or for 10 past years. And I loved that game, and I gave it a 7 out of 10. And my boss downscaled the score of my article to 2 out of 10. And if you read the article, it's a very positive article which represents a 7 out of 10 score. And if you look at the score, it's not connecting with each other, right? Because they downscaled it. So I realized that a lot of like these video game journalists are either paid to hate, or either they are just like I joke with this, but it's true, trend gamers, because for me gaming is a passion. And I remember video game journalism back like 10 years ago or 20 years ago when I was a kid. It did not have scores, first of all, and it was objective based, which means that they represented you the game, and it was like promotion in a bubble, which meant that they don't want to sell you the game, but they are promoting it and they are showing what's good in the game and what's not. But they are not trying to force you not to buy the game, right? Now, what you see in the official media, YouTubers, content creators, streamers, everyone is hating and telling you not to buy. And the ship-minded people go for those, bosses or gurus or fake gurus, which I hate because, like, that's how you end up like killing the industry. I met so many developers who told me their story, even from the AAA side, even from the indie side, that hate really killed their jobs. Either because like people were threatening them and they got depressed and they had to step back because it's their own health, right? And that's what people do not understand, that at the end of the day, hate makes other people sad and you are playing with other lives. You're responsible with doing this so much hate against others. Neither it's if it's about video games or about other projects or about anything, right? And that's what people do not understand, and that's what I'm fighting against with my shows, is for players and everyone to see behind the curtain that, hey, it's a human person or a human being who is making these games. It's not just a click or AI or anything, right? So
Yeah, which I think that's like one of the biggest issues for like the gaming industry because it's very easy for someone to literally say, "Oh, this isn't like a person. This is a Ubisoft dev.
true, true, true. They
This
see
is
the
a
company
dev for
only,
this
like you
project."
said. Yeah, yeah.
Mhm. And that's generally just like how society's always been. If you can find a way to make one person a representative of an entire group, or one group that people just think negatively about as a representative for an entire team of people's work, you can basically say anything as long as it
True,
kind of fits into a narrative that other people are pushing. You could basically do anything. Like
true.
I remember my friends, we all have our own gripes against like Halo Infinite and like the content and stuff like that. Because anyway, we look at it, yes, they fixed a lot of the issues. Yes, there's a lot of stuff in the game. It doesn't change that there's still like a store that basically locks you away from getting a ton of content that they've created just for you to spend money on. And that general thing is going to be like a negative sentiment from the player. But I'm not going to say that like, oh, the company's like the worst it's ever been and it's going to like dive off a hill or something and they need to learn their lesson. Like, it's a video game company,
True,
they're
true, true,
developers,
true,
and their company has quotas.
true.
Like, if you don't want to be a part of that, just don't support it. And there's a lot of other ways for you to engage in Halo. Like, I know some people that complain about Halo Infinite but never played, didn't play Halo 3, didn't play Halo War, didn't play Reach. Like, they just have all this opinion, but it's based off of stuff they saw other people say negatively in reviews or on. And in a way, that's kind of how people are benefiting now. Like, if they can
True.
push as much negativity as possible, that's going to lead to
Clickbait
more
hate.
engagement.
Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
Yeah, exactly. And it's sad, like before I said it now, just now as well, that it really can kill people's lives and hobbies and jobs and it's very sad because I have so many of these stories where developers like had to take a step back from their job and yeah, that's what people do not understand. That and also I would like to add to this topic that I feel like what you mentioned also is very true because to add to this topic is that I feel like players have so high expectation about upcoming games, like you mentioned, and but on the other hand, they do not understand what is a good game for them. And this is true because if you think about it, like if you down the road or me to ask people what is a good game for them because they constantly hating on every game that is coming out, they would not be able to talk about it. What is a good game for them? Is it the story? Is it the gameplay? Is it like the cinematics? Or is it like the fun factor or anything? And I feel like that's how people end up like saying, hey, it's a bad game for me because they cannot describe in their mind what is a good game for them. And that's how they end up like not being happy about the end project that they see on their screen if they buy it, either buying it or not.
Yeah, which it's really easy nowadays because back in the day, the whole thing was barrier to entry was you don't have this console, you
True,
can't afford this new game,
true,
or
true,
this market like price for these things is just going to be hard to handle.
true,
Now
true,
that we
true,
have Game Pass and all these other
true,
ways to make
true,
games
true,
cheaper, it's very easy for you to basically say that like, okay, the barrier to the entry for me playing this game is it's bad, and
true,
everyone's saying it's bad, so I'm not going to try it.
true,
Like, one example would be it can work both ways. It's just not as common. Like, there are a bunch of people I know who they never cared about D&D, they never thought about any stuff. They mainly played shooters. Most of my friends only play shooters for the most part. Like, they've been playing Apex Legends since it came out and they're still playing it probably right now. So it's like,
nice.
if we were to think about like when Baldur's Gate 3 came out, suddenly they see all this positive feedback about it. They go in and try it, and they, for the first time, like, or at least for the first time I'm seeing, they're spending like 120 plus hours on an RPG that they've never heard of. And it works the same way in reverse.
True.
If you were to say, like, let's say if we use what's it called? It's that WB game, Suicide
Suicide
Squad.
Squad, Kill the Justice League. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Whenever I see clips of the cutscenes, the story in that, like, it's generally funny. It's generally interesting. It's
True,
some of the best motion capture I've
true,
seen.
true, true. It's a quality game,
And it,
like I said. It's not a bad game, and if you play it via co-op with friends, it's a totally fun game. I spent like 40 hours and I enjoyed it.
yeah, it's just there's certain people out there who have an expectation for these different things, and then when
True,
all of them pile on this one
true,
thing,
true,
it's just gonna die.
true,
And another thing is like, the Arkham series, always things like they're great story games. And it's also like the community in itself that they've had for that time frame is also fighting against it because
true,
they're like, we don't want stories of service. We want you to just deliver us this great story. Like, why are we waiting for this whole story? And then, of course, you have like you mentioned earlier, the people who want to push their articles and stuff, like, and wanted to give off a certain thing. Everyone made that article about this is the last thing that
true,
Kevin
true,
Conroy voiced for Batman,
true,
and they're
true,
killing him in the plot. This
true,
is
true.
offensive,
Yeah,
but then it's revealed later he did three other projects after that. That wasn't the last time he voiced
true,
Batman.
true.
But there's just a lot of negative stuff that happens nowadays that kind of like gets perpetuated, that kind of brings down bigger projects or smaller
Exactly,
ones sometimes too.
exactly, exactly. Like I said, it's very true as well, and I can totally relate to what you have said now that they are really like not letting people enjoy the fun of games, right? And I also feel like it's very true. And finally, someone said it, like from the developer's perspective, that you have just said now. Is that I always said that it's not good that a lot of developers and publishers are aiming for free to play now, because the more accessible you gave games to the people, the more toxic and hateful and, like I said, trend gamers you will have in your community, right? Because if you like build a game behind a paintwall, not meaning like you have like loot boxes or anything or store, but you have to buy the game, you know that it's like a support thing for the developers and the publishers, and you have to buy the game in order to, like, hate. It's a joke, right? But in order to hate. But what I mean by that is, like, you have to buy the game to play it and to form an opinion, right? But if you have a free to play game, it's easier for you to have all these trend gamers, like I say, to be there and to hate. Like you said, it's very true. People did not give a fuck about Baldur's Gate 1 or 2, right? Now they're suddenly huge fans of Baldur's Gate. And I always joke with this that it's also true that nobody gave a fuck that, like, bulls can fuck each other. There was even a clip on TikTok in Baldur's Gate, but they complained about Dragon's Age, like, new episode, that there were like some lesbian scenes, or in that Conquered game that you had like this, lesbian character in that game, and everyone like stated that it's a woke game. Nobody complained about Baldur's Gate like being like gay bulls fucking each other like on a TikTok clip, right? So nobody complained. So it's weird that it's an unfair like criticism of games, that people start to like love a game and not criticize something for the same thing that happens in other games too, right? And I remember Mass Effect series had those lesbian and gay scenes, and nobody complained it, right? So I feel like people got way too more sensitive about topics that they were not sensitive about like 10 years ago. I remember Destroy All Humans talked about a lot of topics that nowadays, if you would like to happen to talk about in games, they would downscale that game for the fuck of the sake of it. Like they would hate train that game if it would happen again. Like, and it's sad because like they are killing the fun of these games, right?
Which it's definitely true, but at the same time, it's also like in a chamber, and I think it's because like there was like a switch, like maybe like a few years ago, where a lot of different like media groups and people in general started using Twitter as though it was like factual news or information. And let's say like if I use this week, there was that new Shinobi game, something zero, with incredible contact combat and all sort of stuff in it. And this person made a post literally saying that like, oh, they just want to make it as flashy, but there's no difficulty in sight. This is nothing like Ninja Gaiden, blah blah, or this would never stand up to like Metal Gear Rising Revenge. Like they're basically virtue call by saying like these are two games that were great. This game's bad for this reason. It's not out yet, and they're gonna give their opinion on saying it looks too easy when they haven't played it or tried it. And it's based off of a developer playing a sample of the boss, and they're using the mechanics correctly. Which kind of comes back to the main thing. Using Twitter as a metric has kind of blowed itself, where everyone has this perspective that if there's this massive brigade of hatred on Twitter, it equates to everything. And it's starting to work to the degree where if you see anything negative, that's going to turn into 20, 50, 100 YouTubers making videos about this is what's wrong with this is what's wrong with gaming. You have one streamer that perpetuates it by not knowing half of it, but they know their audience. I would say like the biggest perpetrator of this probably be like Gold, because like if you watch enough of his content, which I used to watch him do his mount off competitions. If you watch enough of his like content after like maybe like 2 years ago or 3 years ago, he contradicts himself a lot. Like either he'll say that, well, like feminists and all those other things, they shouldn't care about what's in these games because the girls just want to play as hot girls anyway. And some guys want to play as hot girls. People should be able to do that. Developers should be able to do it. Yet at the same time, he's complaining about agenda, about all these other things. But there's barely any like examples he ever gives that are like accurate. And I think that's kind of one of the biggest things. Our perspective is shifted by the media we see, and that easily makes it seem like the world's burning, which is why like I generally like whenever I think about a new game or project or working on my project in general, I shut off my brain to any kind of influence or anything like that, unless it's like someone who's actually played it or engaged with something directly. Like you're gonna tell me that you played through the game and this part of it was a slog, so you decided to quit. I'm okay with that. You're not gonna tell me this game you never played is like this woke nightmare of stuff that whatever, and then you're not gonna tell me a lot the gameplay, and then you're also in the same breath gonna tell me two was like it has all those different features that
True.
ruining game. And I think that's one of the biggest things. These people are kind of trying to take a position in like the review space
True.
from avid reviewers that actually go through these
True.
projects.
True.
And they're using simple shortcuts by saying these other social issues that they're virtue signaling, basically, which is the reverse of what they're against,
True.
that they're using to kind of push content. And that's like a more common thing. Which thankfully, we've avoided that completely until then, which might change after this interview if anyone watches it coming
Hopefully
after
not.
me. I
Hopefully
don't know.
not.
Hopefully
Hopefully
not.
not. Yeah. Hopefully not.
Yeah, I'm good
Yeah.
on all that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's sad at the end of the day because it really kills the mood of the people like us who loves playing video games, right? And I remember I always said this, that I would go back to those times when I got bullied in high school and in middle school for playing video games. I always was sad about that because I always wanted to, everyone to play games. And now, hey, everyone plays games, but I'm sad about it because like everyone hates video games, other than just, having fun and playing them. And I would also always go back to those times when I got bullied and rather have this niche community of video games players who really care about games, right? So I miss that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mainly miss the age of like internet reviewers like X Play, like those early groups and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Because like people always think, oh well, it's because like they're
Your voice again cutting out. Sorry for interrupting you.
okay. Adam Sessler would tear apart games, even if they were like middle ground, like passable. And it wasn't because of social issues or arbitrary things he didn't like about certain things. He would talk about if characters were flat and he would directly show you that. He's not going to say they're flat because they're this orientation or something like that, or they're this race and there's no justification. Like he would actually play through the game and give like a very avid review of the game and the actual like process of it. And I kind of think we need to get back to that,
Sure.
which definitely will probably happen if Twitter ever like that'd be the main thing. Twitter would have to explode for there to be any kind of fix in expectation in the gaming industry because the pipeline is just too good right now of just you hate on Twitter, you hate on YouTube, the YouTube feeds into your Twitter, and then your Twitter feeds into your Twitch or whatever else you do.
Sure.
You make clips of all that content, and it just comes a content circle. And it's the best way to kind of get exposure nowadays to be successful financially.
True. Yeah, but it will take down on the road of this journey of hate where like they will start to realize that there's no point for hating anymore, right? Because they are killing their own enjoyment of anything that they would like to do, right? So it's always funny to see people like hating a game but streaming it. It's so funny. I always make fun of those too. But yeah.
Like the idea is like it's like, oh well, like Starfield, this game it just doesn't have anything that really caught me.
Yeah, but they are still playing it.
Hours
yeah, exactly. Or Fortnite,
like,
or people hating on Fortnite but playing for 10k hours. Yeah, it's funny.
Like I can't believe we're playing Build right now for the past 60 hours.
Yeah, exactly. What about, by the way, the bugs? You mentioned that there were some bugs that you had to fix and realize in your game for the journey of process of making your own game. What was the hardest bug to find in your game so far? Because it's always an interesting topic to talk about.
So I used to have and I don't know if this is intentional in Unreal Engine, but they make saving the most like innocuous thing ever where you get no context.
I see.
Like you think to yourself, okay, well, it's not telling me anything about how saves work or stuff like that, but how does any of this like function? And then they'll give you some nodes to do it. So I had a bug that would happen sometimes where it would save when it wasn't supposed to. And back in the day, I used to save you based off of your location. So that's bad if the map isn't loaded in certain places. So I had some areas that were always loaded, some areas that weren't to save up in performance. So some people be like, hey, I got through the tutorial. I beat the first boss. I've turned the game back on and I'm falling through the earth. What's happening? And I didn't have anything to stop them from falling. They fall forever. And funny enough, once they exit out of the game, it would save where they were. So they would be even further down and continue to fall when they turn the game back
They made a
on.
bad decision, right?
Yes, you should not have turned off the game. You should probably start over. But it was very bad.
I see, I see, I see. What was the influence, by the way, behind the artistic style, graphical style of your game? So, what was the influence behind that segment or part of your game? We talked about the story influence, but what about the art style, art design of your game?
So I'm a big fan of like stuff being in ruins or tatters and stuff.
I
I
see, I
grew up
see.
watching a lot of like anime that involved demons and stuff like that. But I also really loved like medieval stuff and stuff, the way Fable does things and like way they can make like an environment look lived by nature.
I see, I see.
So that's generally kind of like my whole idea. Like I never want a space I make to look like it hasn't existed for like let's say at least like a couple of years
I
to
see.
a degree. Like I generally would design a space and then visually just ruin it. Basically make it look like it's bad, something bad happened, like you're never gonna see anything look perfect. And I think that kind of led to like things having a more natural look in my game. Cause even for like I went back and I played the old Ninja Gaiden that they just remade recently. And when I went into like one of the dojo buildings, I just thought back to my childhood. Man, this room is empty. Like there's nothing in here. This is just like someone took a model of like a Japanese house, made it so you could cut the doors, and there's nothing else in here. Like
Trim.
it doesn't make any sense. There's no pillows. There's none of the stuff you'd have in that room. There's no destructibles and stuff like that. Because all the destructibles give you healing items in this game or give you currency. And I compare that to Sekiro and their level design, and everything feels full, like
True.
spacious,
True.
but there's always something in a space. And I kind of wanted to always capture that in my game.
Like a box in a box, right? Like a Matryoshka figurine inside each
Yes.
other. Yeah.
Like everything has to look like it's decorated or look like it's been lived in. I don't want anything to feel like, like you're walking into stock, like a stock room or something of just like a medieval castle. Like there has to be a story behind how it got to the way it is,
I see.
which kind of comes back to like the tutorial area. Fort Whisper is like a place that's kind of like seen a lot of battles over the years. And when you walk around the space, like there's like descriptions you can sometimes find that basically tell you about like the area. And there's white flowers that are laid upon the different trails. Wherever those white flowers bloom, they prosper the most under above corpses. So that's where they've buried their warriors and other people. And that's a way that you could take your environment, add story to it, and actual additional depth, which later on, because like let's say if you were to go somewhere else and you see those same white flowers, that would guarantee you that there's a dead body there of someone who mattered.
See.
And that leads up for me being able to put down weapons, equipment,
I see.
items,
I see.
conquest stuff. Like
Something
it's a bunch of stuff
important.
like
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
I see. I see. What will be the balance, by the way, in your game between the story and the gameplay? So, which will be more heavily focused on in your game for the players?
I would say like the story is kind of like it's the engine for why you're doing anything. The
I see.
gameplay, the combat is kind of like your method of getting there. You're
I
never
see.
going to have a scenario where the story alone is going to get you through a scenario.
I see. I see.
Most things are going to be resolved with combat. So combat was like the very first thing I designed for Fade and worked on. It's still the most important thing. The story is going to be basically like a more narrative experience,
I
which is
see.
why I do have cutscenes and I do have motion capture actors to kind of do
Yeah, I
more
saw
of a
that in your
description
YouTube
and stuff
video.
like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I see. I see. Okay. You mentioned also having side missions. How much side missions will matter to the whole plot in your game? So can
Um,
players miss something very important if they are not completing any side missions, or if they are not completing any certain side missions throughout their journey of the playthrough?
so the entirety of Fade, like, is split into the main town areas you go to, the different
I
settlements.
see.
Each one of those has their own unique side quest, and the side quests kind of interact with each other.
I see.
So you can't necessarily miss something. You can make decisions that would cut you off from other quest options.
I
For
see.
example, this is an example of one scenario I'm designing. In Whisper, there's a specific boss you have to fight, and where it is actually where these villagers and these people up, trying to like remain out. They need an opportunity to escape, and to do that, you need to open. But there's another NPC there that literally says you should leave the game closed because he has things he has to. That game shouldn't open because him to on what he's trying to accomplish. Tell you about. So you have a choice. Either you're going to take this reward from him, and basically they'll get it after.
Your voice is cutting
Or
out again. Sorry.
okay, or you'll basically go through the saving, which later on would open you up to another where you could.
Your voice is
Or
totally cut out now. Sorry.
I don't know what to
No,
do.
no, no, no. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay.
Okay, but just stuff like that, like story choices that generally come from certain.
I think it's your sensitivity is like pushed to the max because your voice is cutting out totally now somehow.
I could try.
Sorry for interrupting you.
Oh no, you're fine. I mean, if I'm cutting out, I'm cutting out. Let's see. I don't know if there's a way for me to improve it. I'll just try talking lower because I
Okay.
think I might be blowing it out.
Okay. Okay.
Um,
Thank you.
but yeah, if anything, when you play through, you have to make certain, and they'll cut you off from certain story,
I see.
and that'd be the primary way. But you can't really progress too fast and then miss it. Each area has its own situation going on and has a resolution scenario. The side content just kind of interacts with that.
I see. I see. Okay. So, by the way, on your Kickstarter, that you're planning to release your game to other platforms as well, so not just PC. Are you planning to release your game to every platform on launch day, or are you going to like release your game on consoles at a later date after the full launch?
So it's gonna be throughout a certain time. There's a lot of exclusivity stuff nowadays with different platforms. So I don't want to give any exact promises. Like
I
mainly
see.
the
I see.
Kickstarter tells you that Fade has the dev kits and the development kits to work on different
I
platforms. Like
see.
I've already started preparing it to be on Xbox, or at least my current build, and preparing it to. But I haven't really dedicated myself to putting it on any specific platforms, mainly because if I reach out to PlayStation or I go through their process, they'll sometimes have an exclusivity deal, which basically means that you can only release. If I promise to people, it's going to be on Xbox, it's going to be on Game Pass. Game Pass also has their own kind of agreement where they're doing their own, but theirs is based off of engagement on Steam and other platforms. So basically, it's like first you'd go through PlayStation, then you'd go through Game Pass, then you go through all these other things, and that's all just to make sure that you can deal with each other. If I were to show up to PlayStation, a deal like that, if I tell them I'm it's dead in the water. It's going to be a problem. And I've already had a problem trying to get a dev kit on PlayStation.
I see. I see. We touched here a lot of topics. Before I will go into some more questions, is there anything that you would like to add? And I will also go to the community-oriented questions from the chat. Is there anything that you would like to add and talk about before I go into some other questions?
Uh,
I have more
no,
questions. It's just like I would like to know if you have anything to add that's to all those topics that we talked about.
I mean nothing really. I mean I just have the game up right now. Like if anyone wants to see gameplay,
Yeah, you're down.
it
You're
comes
down
after.
to show that. I would love to. I would love to see that. Yeah, thank you for that.
Oh, okay. So right now,
Yeah, you can if you want. Yeah, sure.
all
Ladies and
right.
gentlemen, by the way, let us know. Let us know if you have any questions. Let us know.
All right, so hopefully this isn't too laggy. I think they say I'd have to have like Nitro 60, so it's going to be at 30.
No, no, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay.
All right. I don't know if you can see this
Yeah, I
yet.
do, I do, I do. I switched to it. Yeah, thank you, thank you, thank you.
But yeah, just gonna do a quick run through of just the main. But basically, you get the choice between like the three starting classes, which kind of comes into what we were saying earlier, which is like there's a lot of like player choice with
I
the
see.
start and the different things for the combat system. And then later on, these are gonna because the goal would be to have with the character creator you'd have 5 different classes. But I always choose the warrior just in general. I just like hit stuff, and it just makes life way easier when you can take hits,
True, true,
while
true.
other people might like.
Love the loading screen, by the way. These old school times of
Mhm.
loading screens. It reminded me,
Yeah,
by the way, of a PC game called Shade: Wrath of Angels. If you are remembering that game, I'm not sure if you
I've
have
never
played
heard of
it.
that one.
Yeah, I will send you over that game. It's a very nice game. That one had these like very like mood 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 vibes,
Mhm.
loading screens. Oh, I will have to add the voice as well to the screen share. By the way, to my
Yeah.
best understanding, you had players also uh, let you know about their feedback, right? In early access, how do you balance like your own vision and having players' feedback? So what's the balance behind or between
Um.
those two?
So right now, the biggest thing is always I kind of will meter thing,
I see,
kind of feedback it is.
I see,
Like if anyone tells me about like specifics regarding like the story or the current setup, like the demo and stuff like that, I'll normally gauge that with in mind. The demo is subject to change. The content of the demo and the story progression is going to be expanded. This is mainly just to have you and give you an engine to start the story, test the combat, and get an idea. And then once we're able to do the story boss and everything, then I'll add in the update for those things.
I see, I see.
So I'll listen to that feedback, but I'll make sure version. I'll then make sure to keep track of that because it's still important to make sure putting anything into the game that's natural impact the gameplay for anybody, player experience in general.
True, true, true.
And then how does it look on your end? Because like it's running on 60 for mine.
It's perfect. It's perfect. Sometimes your voice is still cutting out, but I'm not. I don't want to disturb you with that again. So yeah,
Okay, you're fine.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, by the way, there's a question from Minnie. She's asking it in Hungarian, but I will translate it for you. So she's asking, are you planning to have multiple languages in your game so that all countries' players will be able to understand the story itself in your game?
Yes. So it's gonna come like normally probably maybe like sometime next year.
I see. I see.
The goal will be because I want to finalize the first.
I
So
see.
I'm gonna be doing each early access update in main. Once all of those arcs have been released for different countries and different languages to make sure there's like everything's communicated.
I
I just have
see.
to make sure I finalize the script first. Let's say I get an interesting idea or something new that my to bring it back up people who've already been like kind of let go because their work be done. So I generally want to make sure so that's something that comes final, especially since it's just me working.
I see. Oh, I see the flowers, by the way, that you were talking about before. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice, nice, nice.
Okay. And then
Love it, love it, love it.
you said you had more questions.
No, no. So far, just this one. I will take a look back into chat again. Let us know, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. Let us know. Let us know if there is any question. Hölgyek, urak, hogyha bármilyen kérdés van, nyugodtan kérdezzetek. Any question? Any question? I will also share the Steam page of the game. I shared it in my Discord, but I will share it in my chat as well, so people can.
Okay, I appreciate that.
Yeah, you're welcome. Bármilyen kérdés, hölgyek, urak? Any question? I will also share the Kickstarter page. Don't forget about that one.
Yeah, it's the big one. The main goal right now is, and this might be like a really good meeting to have, because I did check the amount of people that seems like I think it goes by area, because majority of all the pledges right now, and I was interested by that because the last time I tried the Kickstarter, almost all of them came from Germany for some reason. So it was a very weird get the word out for developers on Kickstarter or how to push your project out.
I see.
But it's definitely good to try to like be a more diverse in your marketing in terms of like who you reach out to, because it really seems like it pushes all my stuff just to the United States.
True. And I feel like people respect if you're trying to promote your game in every region, because I'm sure that there are a lot of like fans of this genre in every country, so it matters a lot. Yeah.
Oh, definitely.
And yeah, Kickstarter can be messy. I heard some of these examples that you mentioned, that there were some like pledges from the same country over and over. Yeah. But who knows? Maybe your biggest fans are from Germany. Who knows?
It's a possibility.
It is.
Like I'm not fine with having I don't have any problems having fans in Germany.
True. Understandable. By the way, I wanted to ask: are the narrator is like, will be he the one who is like narrating the whole story of the game?
So that's Nathaniel. He's like one of our really like he's like the first voice actor I've ever for the first rendition of the project.
I see.
So he's kind of just been always on board.
I see.
So for certain aspects of the game, he might a reoccurring thing. Like I don't want it to be like, like chapter to chapter he's gonna narrate something.
I see.
Generally want you kind of to Now, if I'm doing trailers, though, definitely I'm gonna use his voice.
Nice.
He has the best voice I've ever had for a trailer.
His voice is crazily good. Like when it's
insane.
Like insanely good. Love the cutscenes as well, man. Love the cutscenes as well. Your game is really like competing with the AAA scene. It is AAA, by the way. I wouldn't say if I wouldn't be talking to you now, or did not know about this information that you're doing it solo, I would think that this is a AAA title. Like, man.
I think that's the benefit of just having time to polish.
True.
I generally looked at like the way a lot of other games were kind of pushing and like modernization and everything, and I kind of just tried to make sure that like goes to some. Now I still wouldn't like consider myself like it be to a AAA's level yet, because there's still jank, the occasional crash of one. So there's still things to learn, improve on.
I see.
But it's like it's a step in the right direction.
Can you see yourself, by the way, working in the video game industry like for a lot of years? Like, is it something that you would like to do in the rest of your life? Like, is it your dream to continue working on?
I would say yes, mainly because like I don't know, my experience regarding like that like just being able to be creative for like hours would be like the best thing for me, because I just love making stuff. Like I'd prefer to like either or do game design. Like I don't want to be like doing a desk job where I'm just talking.
It's
to people
understandable.
Anymore,
yeah. What will be the max health vial, by the way, that you can carry with yourself? Or the health flask?
So generally I would say like maybe by like in game. So each of the different like aura flasks you get come from a unique spot or location
I see,
that
I
just
see,
comes from you traveling around.
I see.
Now there's certain dungeons that you can go into that basically your aura flask is that you'd have to complete. So generally I would say maybe in game we have let's say probably either 10,
I see, I see, I see,
I'd say probably 10.
I see.
Like you start out with 3 from like the tutorial, and then you get the option to unlock others as you go. They're not going to be completely bountiful. Now, options to make them better, like if you defeat a boss, you can transfer things. Let's say if I wanted it to like slowly regenerate mana when I drink one, or if I heal health and mana, or sometimes you can stamina, so you can just make sure you don't have to spend the. You can just like attack as much as you want to.
I see.
Different things that each one kind of you get from feeding different. Which there's only 2 that you can get in this demo. One from the tutorial boss, and then once you, if you did like did the early access, one other, how much it heals.
I also love how fluid the gameplay is, by the way. It's so fluid.
Yeah, I'm really proud of it so far, but it also comes from me like testing it. Like I watched someone else play this and they didn't lock on to it. It just gave me so much anxiety. I was like, what are you doing?
Oh, okay, you can do that as well. Nice. You can run into bashing the enemies. Nice.
Yeah, so that's one of the weapon skills, which that's another way I kind of have inspiration from like Dragon's Dogma
I
in
see.
general.
I see. I see. I see.
Because one of my favorite skills in Dragon's Dogma was the Blink Strike. So basically, I call it Feral Strike in general, but in different like iterations on different weapons, it would have a name or different. Like each weapon has its own like different ability that makes it worth using.
I see. I see. I see.
Like other great swords, you can charge. This one just focuses on like hitting as many people as because it's literally just a hunk of metal, which is basically just a berserker.
Will there be, by the way, a max level that players can reach, or there won't be, and people can go beyond the infinite level?
So basically, I wanted to make it so the base level cap at the like let's say at the end of the base game would probably be like let's say 50,
I see. I see.
which the leveling system is definitely going to be refactored right now because like right now you can level up way too quickly
I see. I see.
with the enemies at hand, so that value is going to be adjusted. But basically, you would expect to be able to get to level 50 after you beat the main game. There is planned content, which you can also see on the page in stretch goal, which is basically like this overhaul area where you go to, which is the seafaring settlement, which is like right on the other side of the coast. And when you go there, there's going to be like different enemies to fight, threats, and then the level cap would increase.
I see. You have spoken, by the way, about bosses. Are bosses going to have multiple faces as well, like in Souls games?
Yes.
I see.
So right now, like even though this demo has a 2 phase, even if it is a little janky, like it still needs to be optimized to my current version. And I'm sorry if I'm skipping through the dialogue. I
No,
figured
no, it's
like
okay. It's
it
okay.
might.
It's okay. It's
I didn't know
understandable.
if you could hear it well.
Yeah, there is a very minimal voice, by the way, on the
Okay, so you can only kind of hear it.
screen share. Yeah, but I can hear it. Yeah.
Gotcha. So this is another like one of pretty much all I know all the voice actors in general for the project pretty closely because they're in my Discord.
How
But I communicate with them a lot.
I
No
see.
falling damage. Yeah.
Are you planning to
I'm
add though?
keeping
Are you planning to add though or no?
at some point only because you kind of need to have it.
True, true,
These
true.
kinds of these like vertical maps because if anyone can kind of just people are going to start using that to find and that limits your level design
True, true, true.
because it'd be like if Elden Ring didn't have falling damage. Series.
True. You have spoken, by the way, about voice actors too. How hard was it for you to find the right voice actors for your project, or how easy it was?
It really isn't that hard.
I
It's
see.
just like you have to figure out what your
I
baseline
see. I see. I see.
status they have to be at is, which for me always is they need to be able to have good enough equipment. If their equipment's good enough, like we're kind of good to go.
I
Like
see. I
you
see.
just need to know if your equipment's good enough and you have to not do that thing where you feel like you have to do a like sometimes your normal voice is for certain voice actors and they'll go out of their way to sound like that's like one of the weirder things.
True. True. True.
All right, so I'm just gonna go to the main tutorial boss
Okay.
just to show this off. Yeah, I think I'll stop there.
Okay. 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 Thank you, by the way, for showcasing this. Thank you. I appreciate that. Really.
No problem. Oof.
That evil laughter. I love the musical score as well, by the way. I can hear that. Okay. He's firing green orbs.
Yeah, so this is what I was basically talking about, like where the different like homunculus have their own. Each one kind of has their main method of how they kind of run the curse that they are in charge of.
I see, I see, I see.
So the creature in charge of this is Taurus. He's basically the homunculus of envy. Basically this like child who has this ability to kind of like manifest inside of these like tree creatures. And basically it can just kind of pivot and control like any human or mortal body
Oh, okay.
if they succumb to it. So that's mainly what like his arc's going to be, is basically just trying to figure out where he is so you can free these people from the tree curse, basically. And I will say this, I make this look very easy.
Yeah.
All the attack
You're
times.
good at your own game. It matters, right?
Yeah. Oh no.
By the way, what about the musical score of the game? Was it something that you composed too?
No. So I had a few friends that were like just really getting into music.
I see, I see, I see.
Mainly just of the orchestral variety.
I see, I see.
And it's like a one-time ask. I was like, can you guys make me something?
Oh, okay.
And I worked with them on what like emotions it should convey, and
Let the chosen seek out his harbinger.
Love
All
it, love
that
it.
waiting is boring though. Besides, a quick fight can What do you say, kid?
so I actually don't want to spoil
Okay,
like how this boss goes.
okay.
So I'm just gonna pause it there and just kind of stop sharing.
Okay, thank you, by the way. I appreciate it again.
No problem, no problem. There we go.
Nice.
Cool.
Nice.
Yeah. Now, from your perspective as like just your journalist background and stuff, what was your opinion of the game and
The
stuff from what
gameplay
you
is
saw?
very fluid. By the way, your camera froze. Sorry for interrupting you before I answer you that question. Your camera
Hopefully it
froze.
fixed itself.
Yeah.
Is it working now?
No, it's still loading. Still
Okay,
loading.
let's see.
Technology difficulties.
No, of course.
Like we said it before our stream, yeah. But yeah, the gameplay is very fluid. Like, man, like it's very fluid. And it has to be, right? Because these games where you have to like perform your action and defense in the right time, right space, it has to be. So I think it really matters, and it's good to see that it is in this shape now. And
Yeah.
and yeah, the story also looks very interesting. I love the fact that you have these like symbolism of for all the bosses, like you mentioned. If I'm being correct about it, like there will be like 4 bosses in the final game, right? You mentioned it, or more.
So it's gonna be a little more because
I
like
see.
each one of these bosses kind of has a boss. Like for Taurus and stuff like that, like that the creature you fight in the tutorial is just like it's a basic enemy type.
I see.
So
I
it's kind
see.
of like the same thing that most developers do. I'm giving you an enemy type that's a little more stressful to deal with, but I'm giving it to you as a with more health and more substantial because you're weaker in the game. Later on, when you're stronger, it'll be an easier kind of thing to fight, and you might have to fight more than.
I see. I see.
And then throughout that area, one of these 1 to 2 mini bosses that are kind of in that area that just kind of part of their curse and like an after. For example, if I were to use the area coming up this after the Whisper update is the Celeste update. In Celeste, there's basically Odaris, who's this mage who is obsessed with living armor. So she's the homunculus that represents lust. She wants to recreate the lover she lost a long time ago who was murdered, and she wants to recreate him by human life suits of. So when you're doing that, she has all these prototypes that she's left behind, and then you'll find her previous contenders to replace her lover, which will be these other balls that you'd have to. She has 2 to 3 that are, and then you best choice, which is his name is Ball Mung in general. But stuff like that that's kind of been like built up to make each one of the areas have in terms of your progression. So it's more like a journey to showing up, figuring out where they are.
I see. I see. See. So yeah, the gameplay is very fluid. By the way, I love how the story goes and told, and also like how the game looks. And I also love the musical score. Like I mentioned, it really fits the whole boss scene and the whole setting of the game. Like I said, your game really reminded me of like Shade, which I loved playing as a kid, and I still love playing it. So yeah, it really gave me a very good vibe, and I cannot wait to play the full game. Right? Yeah. Yeah. By the way, your camera is still loading. Your camera is still loading.
Maybe I should like if I deactivate and reactivate, it might fix it.
Yeah, that might fix it. Yeah. Any questions, by the way, ladies and gentlemen? Any questions? Any questions? Any questions? No, it's still loading. It's still loading. Morning technical difficulties. Can you hear me, by the way? Oh, now I cannot hear you as well. You can try recalling me, by the way, if you want. It might help if you can hear me, but I cannot hear you. I'm not sure if you can hear me, but Let me message you. Can you hear me, by the way? Can you hear me? Oh, there you go. There you go.
Oh, geez.
Nice, nice. I wanted to recall you, but yeah, now it's working. Nice, nice,
There
nice,
we go.
nice. We faded away, we could say, right?
Yeah,
Being true to your game, you faded away.
oh, of course.
Nice, nice, nice. So yeah, speaking of, I'm not sure what you have heard or not, but yeah, the gameplay is very fluid. I love that. I also love the fact that you're trying to aim for different camera angles when you're as a player. You can use your different skills. I love that because I feel like a lot of Souls games just have like a very strict camera movement when they are using their skills with different types of weapons. I also love the fact, like I said, that you gave this very nice touch of the musical score to your game and to your bosses with the melodies that it has. So yeah, yeah, yeah. And
I
like you
appreciate
said,
that.
it's really true that you're a very good player in your own game. So it was good to see that too. So yeah, 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 yeah. I'm looking forward to see the full game. Like I cannot wait what else you will have in your game. What kind of bosses, story elements, twist, the plot, the theme. Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm planning on like the main goal is like I do want to get a publisher mainly because like I want to be able to work on Fade full time, which is why the current promise is I can deliver the game in 2 years.
I see.
Like, given my current pipeline and schedule, like the only thing that's really stopped me recently is just the boss design. If I can get the 3D artists on board with the Kickstarter funding and stuff like that, like we'll have the boss designs, and then I can just make the areas and then just design the locations, set up my enemies because I already have a lot of the models, and the game will kind of just make itself pretty much. Like I already have a lot of the different gameplay mechanics, combat system design. It just be a matter of just having the models. So the more we get funded, the better it's going to be. The shorter the pipeline is going to be because I'll be able to focus full time. Like the dream would be wake up tomorrow, $50,000 funded, take off the entire year, say we're focusing on just this.
Just the game,
This is
yeah.
this is all we're doing. Like that'd be magical.
Yeah.
Or if a publisher reached out and said they wanted to like publish a project and support it, but they don't want to take like majority stake or something weird, or they don't want to take my intellectual property
Yeah, that's
rights
what
or
I
something like
wanted to
that.
say, is to sacrifice your own vision for them. Yeah.
Yeah, because I don't compromise on anything crazy.
True.
Like
True. The cat is also here. Is the cat in your
yeah,
game, by the way, too? Like an Easter egg or a
no,
character? Would you like to
no, she
have?
should be.
Yeah,
Yeah, she
yeah,
should be.
yeah. Nice, 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 nice. Were there any publishers, by the way, who reached out to you so far, or who you reached out
Um,
to?
so I did speak with Red Art Gaming
I
like
see. I
last
see.
year or 2 years ago. Um, might be 2 years at this point. But basically, their whole thing was like they had one guy trying to reach out to me to publish the game.
Mhm.
And it was very clear that he was trying to make it work because he was trying to expand their horizons. Because Red Art Gaming normally only publishes Switch games, like that's their bread and butter, Switch retro games. And him reaching out to me in general was surprised because I looked into it. I was like, you guys don't do these kinds of games, like, and you only put it on Switch. So like, what are we gonna do when Fade doesn't run on Switch? Like, it's too powerful for Switch,
True,
basically.
true.
And Switch 2, like I was hoping, please God, could Switch 2 support like 4K and all this other stuff. And they're saying, no, it's not gonna do that either. It's just the Switch 2. Like it's like the same console, but
True,
I guess a few better things. But
true.
it's still not gonna run any like really system intensive games, pretty much.
I see. I see. What other publishers do you think could also work in your way if you would down on the road to choose a publisher?
I mean, I'm definitely open. It's just the issue is, and this would be a lesson for like other game devs in general, do not put your game in early access. As a single dev or small team early on, always do it when the game is either 80 or 90% done. And let's say there's at least 15 to, let's say, 18 hours of content at the minimum.
I see.
Because the issue with Fade right now is we have sales, we have wish lists, we have reviews, but we're in that mixed category because we still have all of our negative reviews from the past. And every once in a while, when we go on sale, we pick up one of those
I see.
like I was expecting AAA from this game,
I see.
and
Again, high
kind of review.
expectations that I mentioned, right?
Yes,
Not meeting them, yeah. Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
which it's only going to get easier to kind of like divine through that as like we add more content, the game gets better. But for now, we're going to have to deal with that. And when publishers see that, their first thought process is going to be, well, you have this going against you, you have this going against you, and we don't have the benefit of being in the shadows with it. Because generally, that's if you ever notice, like, oh, this game is like a game that anyone would have bought or whatever. Why didn't they announce this like years ago? We had no idea they were working on this.
True.
And they're telling us it releases in 2 months. It's because they want to avoid that entire process during development of showing any experimental stuff
And
or
also
anything like
that
that.
wait time, right? Which can kill the
Yeah.
wish list and people's attention or forgetting about the game,
Mhm.
right? Because it's happening nowadays a lot that like companies announce a game and if it's a smaller scale game that people will forget about it because there are so many games coming out, right? So it's like if
Yeah.
a game is taking like 10 years to build or to make, people will probably, some of them at least, some portion of the wish listers will forget about it because it's like I said before, so many games coming out. So it's hard to compete with all the games, even if you don't want to compete with them, right? You have to at some point.
Yeah. Because AAA, like the main thing is I forget what it's called, but it revealed itself recently. It had the black actress that played Prudence in the Sabrina show and everything. It was like something galactic or whatever, and they're on the ship.
Intergalactic, the
Um,
Unedited game, right?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
People saw that, and it's a beautiful tech demo. It looks great. The
True.
only gripe I had with the trailer was just the audio. Like, we're on a futuristic ship. I understand we want it to sound old timey, but I can't hear what she's saying. And that comes off as kind of like it's killing the vibe of the trailer. And some people, they felt that, but then their mind went into like 30 other ways that were imagined. They were just like, this is what's wrong with it. I understand everything about game trailers. It's like, this one audio issue. Like, it's not like this is like there's nothing on display here that's incredible.
True.
And with that kind of thing, they can afford to do that. They're Naughty Dog. They have that player
True.
history. They
True,
have all
true,
that whole
true.
discography to go through. So when they release their trailer, they can show minimum gameplay, and they'll have 5 years or
True.
8 years to do more to it before they release it. And in the meantime, they can get funding, they can get support, they can get all kinds of things, and they can build out those wish lists. But for smaller dev teams like that, like the moment you announce your game and the dev cycle is slow, like you don't have that kind of respect or trust from developers and other gamers. So you kind of have to worry more about that, which is why publishers want things to be in the dark. That way they control player perspective, media perspective, one launch. Which the biggest thing is always we want to make a really good article first. Basically, they want to get the right person, the right article, the right YouTube video, the right streamer, all these things in place so they can support it. And Fade's never going to really have that, mainly because everything's out in the open. Like I wanted complete trust between the gamers and me in general, so they know exactly what's in the demo at all times. Like if someone ever tells me like, oh, I was expecting this, I'm going to direct you straight to the early access page because it says everything.
No, I
that
never
I've already
said that.
I never said it was going to have this. I never said it was going to have this. This is everything that's in the game. And I even say in the early access message, the game is not finished. It's far from finished. Do not support this unless you believe in it. And if you don't, you can always refund.
True.
Like that's just the reality of it.
True. Again, honesty, and I appreciate that, and they respect that from both the developer side of yours and from both the player side. Because, like you said, it's very true, and I believe in that there has to be this connection of like having the developer and the player together, right, trusting in each other.
Mm-hmm.
Because at the end of the day, none of the developers want to ship a bad game, and I believe in that. So
yeah.
What would be, by the way, your experience with all of your experiences in your bag? What would be your advice for those people who would like to work on video games?
Low key in today's era and stuff like that. Like if I were to talk to myself now from like years ago, like I probably could have shipped the title by now if I were to talk to myself years ago. The pipeline would literally just be take 2 to 3 like game titles that you have experience with, you played, you understand very well, figure out how you can like adopt or make those same systems and code, go into Unreal Engine or whatever, like if you prefer using Unity, see the best ways to make those things work, and make a playable test build on like that you can kind of like share on Steam or something like that, or just share by file by packaging your game. And then once you reach out to like a publishing group or something like that, show them what you have, the base level of it, and make sure you know your target audience. And once they know what you need to finish it, all these other things, you can get funded pretty easily. It's just you have to be as quiet as possible about it, which that's kind of why being an early game dev is so hard, because you'll start on your project and the thing you're working on, and suddenly your first thing you're thinking is, oh, I got to go public with this. I got to make a wish list page.
True.
I got to go.
It's hype, right? It's passion again.
Yeah. And like everyone kind of gets those ideas of what you want to be in your mind, where it's like, do you want to be a game developer or do you want to be a YouTuber? Right. And it's not always going to work out, which like I always forget his name only because like he hasn't been in my mind for so long because like he has something not necessarily against me, but he like banned me from his community on Discord a long time ago. He's working on Project Feline or some kind of game where based on ideas it's a speed running game where you like have a cat character. And years ago, I just asked him some general questions on his Discord about game design, and next you know, I get banned. Like they're saying, like, "Oh, he's a dev trying to advertise his game." I never posted anything about my game. I didn't even have a game back then. But generally, like he made the leap to be a YouTuber and was just great at it. His game to this day has not been released. You can play the demos, the test build, and do speed runs, and he's still updating it. But he's working on the same game since I was in college. I started college in 2017. Like, and he's still working on it, even right now. Like, that's insane. But YouTube revenue alone has sustained him for that entire time frame. So it's like if you were to tell someone, like, do you want to get a publisher, finish your game, be a game dev, and this is what you do in his career? Like, if the more quiet they make it and the more they can learn without trying to like, reach out to everyone and expose their project and stuff, you could really like get a lot really far releasing a game. I would say in today's era, like pretty much anyone can make a pretty great game.
True.
Like just with the time and effort and just having a vision in general. So my advice just be, don't think about your social media. Don't think about
Again,
your
social media.
exposure.
We're getting back to the topic. I love that, and it's
Yeah.
true. It's true, right?
Yeah. Don't look at any of that stuff. Just start on your project. Don't even think about like, why am I starting it? Just start. The sooner you start, the better, because you're going to regret not starting sooner.
True, 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 very true, very true. You mentioned, by the way, having like negative reviews and hate, a bit of a hate about your game, if I understand it correctly. How do you deal with negative response from the player's perspective or the media perspective, official media perspective? How do you deal with those?
I think it's a little easier for me.
Okay.
It's a little easier for me now, mainly because I expect negative feedback. Like,
I see.
no matter how good something is when I polish it, like, and that's kind of like the way it works. There's always going to be someone who has an issue with something you made or something you did or something like that, because you'll hear about some of the best games ever, right? And someone will have the wildest negative opinion.
Yeah, like The Last of Us did, right? They hated that in the second part, like they killed Joel, spoiler time, and like I remember some people are or were on the road of threatening like Neil Druckmann. You even went to his house. It was crazy. I read an article about that and I was like, what the hell? Like, why people are doing this?
It was the funniest thing because some people, like, the moment they got to it happening, they were so emotionally hurt by the scene that they're not used to those kinds of emotions. They don't know what to do with them. So they refunded the game. So it's just like, okay, so you're just not going to beat this now. Like you were so emotionally touched by this character dying.
But that was the point of the game, right? To touch you emotionally and to think about topics that other games might not show you. So that was the main goal.
Yeah, because I mean, the first Last of Us game is like, and this kind of comes into DNA of like a lot of great narrative games. Like the first Last of Us was all about a father's journey. He's not her father, but it's about a father's journey finding someone else to have a reason for seeing good in the world and wanting there to be something better. Because if he didn't have that connection to her, they would have just cured the virus. She would have died. People would have gone back, society would be back to normal. But his passion for her as a person and her existence and him finding her and seeing her that way led to him doing that. And then the part two, basically it's about, the loss of a father and having to stand on your own and be your own person while also facing the realities of life. Because she's not sheltered anymore. She doesn't have someone like Joel who's seen all these things to shield her or guide her through it. And some people, they'll hear that story and be like, oh, that sounds deep. That sounds like great. I'm invested. Other people get hurt and then they just think, oh, this game is the worst thing that's ever happened to me. And then they need to drop as many negative reviews as possible. Which I think that's just kind of like some people are just like that. So there's always going to be a natural negative feedback for things you do. Like I did a YouTube video recently, and like I always go through the comments and stuff like that because I'm not like that big that the comments isn't like too crazy for me to
I
go
see, I
through.
see, I see, I see.
And the guy was like, he said, well, other people are going to see fade, but real game developers are going to see fake. This game, blah blah, looks fake, and I'm like, you can literally just go to the early access. You could play the demo. You could watch the trailer, and you could watch the actual video. I literally was on IGN, and he was like, "Oh," and it's like, you didn't watch the video before you decided to make like a hateful comment, like, or do any research. And that's kind of just how people are. Like
Exactly, exactly,
sometimes it's always easier to hate things first, and then the moment you respond to them, their whole demeanor changes.
exactly.
It's weird. It's like I think the term's terminally online, where they feel like they're a different person,
True.
and the moment they get a single bit of
It
kindness
changes them,
or
yeah.
yeah, it just pivots, and that's kind of like why like a lot of social media platforms the way they're kind of going. It's gonna take away from that entirely because
True.
like now we're getting to a phase where there's so many different people tuning into a post that you don't know how many are bots or real people. Like
How to react to them, yeah.
you don't know what any of these conversations mean. Like it could be 10 million people saying DI is wrong and all these things are bad. But the reality is like 80% of those are people's hijacked accounts that are
True.
being used by, I don't know, Elon's bots or whatever. I don't know.
True, true.
I don't know what
Sadly.
the ongoing theory is.
Sadly, yeah, yeah. It's crazy, and I think the most craziest part is that a lot of people are not questioning these types of things, and they are just believing in everything that they see. And that's the huge problem with the
Mhm.
internet nowadays, especially that people cannot disconnect from it. I feel like I always joke with this, and my old school friends on video games always tell me that they would like to see the era where there are like some day offs per week when you cannot use an internet, you know. It would be crazy, right, to think about it. Like Friday you cannot use internet, and that's all. You have to go out and have fun with your friends at the basketball court or at the bar or anywhere, you know, or go shopping. And it would make totally sense because I feel like it's really true that people are so addicted now to social media, like you said. They're so addicted to hate as well on social media. If they have, I always say this, that I feel like people who shit online, they are always the ones who have really huge problems, issues with their life, right? Because my tennis coach always told me that those people who have like a good, reasonable life, or at least they have problems, but they are willing to solve it, they will never be the ones hating on others because they don't have the time for it. They are down on the road of fixing their own problems, have finding the solutions for their own problems, even if their life is a bit better than others. So
Yeah. Because it's like when you go to social media or different platforms, you're already putting yourself into one echo chamber because you're limited to the amount of engagement you'll get. Like
true, true,
people, accounts will show you, profiles will show you. And the moment you say you like a certain thing or they realize you're a certain demographic, suddenly your feed's filled with all these things and it knows you're going to click. And then once you reach that like vein where it's like, this is gaming content, and then this is a like brigade to destroy specific content, suddenly like you feel like you're a part of a community or you see this
true,
all these
true,
other people,
true,
and it's like
true.
if you use that classic logic of like, oh well, you know, people are doing this, that justifies it happening, like because other people believe this, then suddenly you're one of them.
True,
And that's why like a lot of people get indoctrinated into like crazy worldviews or in general just bad opinions.
true.
Like I just couldn't imagine someone like being convinced that I mean Elden Ring's, you know, everyone said it's a great game, but it's because it's overrated and they've never played it.
True.
Like, you know, it's like we've really changed in terms of gaming. And it's a weird thing because we can't even confirm if that's the case. Because if you go to these social media platforms, you don't know who's real anymore.
True.
Like yeah, people like saying that content in games looks like it's cheap, but it looks like some of the best stuff I've ever seen. They said gaming's dying, but we have some of the best releases we've ever
True.
had in a long time.
Very true. And it's I
Uh,
always say also this, that it's the same example of like media and people saying that physical games will die out, and you will never be able to like buy video game discs, physically. And it's not happening. Like, just look at limited run games. They are the most successful company which are making like disc versions of games, and all the other companies started to follow them and make like physical editions of video games. And it's happening. Like, people, it really shows. I always say this, that people, it's a very fake ideology of like having saying this quote of like leave the past behind. No, the past is always coming back. Like, if you see all these like very old school IPs like Ninja Gaiden is coming back. Why? Because people know that a lot of people care about it, still care. Even if we grown older, even if we went into our 30s and 40s, we still care about those IPs. And I feel like what the industry needs now is to like realize that even if you are focusing on the casuals because you want to bigger up your sales, it's not the right thing to do. Casuals, if you are focusing only on casuals or mostly, it will somehow benefit you in the first place, but on a longer level, longer journey, it will not benefit anymore you, right? Because the casuals will say that, okay, I love this game, I will buy it, but now it's a new like idea of this franchise and I don't love it. But the very like core audience will stay.
Yeah.
And it shows in a lot of like examples. I can say this example of multiverses. I love multiverses. I still play multiverses, and since you can see that a lot of changes has been made to engage with the casual side as well, not just the competitive ones. And casuals played it for a lot of times, but the casuals ones like the most ones who complain about the game, and it ended up like having a game where like no one loves it. Casuals, not the core audience. Only those try the game to succeed, even after like failing.
Yeah, which that also kind of like full on failure, but like
it doesn't mean
yeah, but the dying of multiverses more so has to do with came out with their content, they had their ideas and every ideas. People wanted more, and their pipeline facilitate that because people move too fast nowadays.
True.
The reason why Smash Bros. Ultimate can exist for so many years of dedicated people who will can't run online because the net code sucks. Came with their friends, local tournaments, and stuff like that. In the echo chamber that's already on the be $1 million success. But if you were to take that niche, they don't have that community already. Content as possible, and if they're not as fast as other people, because of trend, once that trend's over, it's just gonna. That's when you get your other people to come in and say, "But it didn't just die; it was murdered." It was, but that was his whole YouTube. A game that just people just stopped playing. He'd say it was. It just didn't do that well because of like, and that's kind of like that's how some people will make content off of the failure of certain things. Thing where people are now expecting that for every game. Will it be a complete failure or will it succeed? Which there are people who had geared up content to fail.
Yeah, I remember.
Like they had it saved about people are making their things they did wrong and everything. Black game, it's gonna steal your data. True. Comes out, they see all the positive stuff about it.
That's the game, right? It's perfect game.
Yeah. Like they don't say a single thing about it.
Yeah. And I hope it will change because I miss the good old days. I loved playing video games without complaining,
But it's kind of like if I don't open up social media, I'm not going to hear it except for my friends because
true. Same here. Yeah.
It's only because I know some of my friends are irrational.
Same here.
Like I love Assassin's Creed Unity. I played through the entirety of it when it came out with all those bugs, when they patched the bugs. I 100% of that game. And that's because I love Assassin's Creed. And I love the setting. Like I love being in Paris. Like it was beautiful. My friend Josh, or one of my friends, I'm just gonna say one of my friends in general, refuses to play that game ever again because of his experience with initially opening it up and experiencing bugs. Then negative backlash from social media and stuff like that about like, oh, this game's this. They rushed it, like made him never touch the game again. Fast forward, he hasn't touched an Assassin's Creed game since. And he will talk about how the golden age was Assassin's Creed 1, 2, Brotherhood, and the third
Revelations, yeah. Third, yeah.
one. Yeah. And that kind of niche exists all throughout gaming, where people are basically exposed to a little bit of negativity regarding something developers did wrong, and that'll close them off from trying tons of games and different content.
True.
And once you're in that echo chamber where like negativity of certain things drives your engagement with trying new things, suddenly like it's not going to be about whether or not the new Assassin's Creed game is going to be good or have your favorite features. It's about how bad's it going to fail.
True.
And that's kind of just like where we are right now. But I will let you know it is about to be 2 a.m. where I am.
Yeah, I know. Sorry. Yeah.
I didn't know. Did you have anything else you wanted to touch on, or anything else you wanted to discuss?
No, off stream I will need some more of your minutes. But yeah, for
okay.
For the interview, I really appreciate your time that you gave to us, and I really hope to speak with you in another episode after you release the full game. So yeah, for those who are watching us, thank you for being here with us. Don't forget to wishlist the game, and also try out the early access if you love the mood, the vibe, and the whole concept of the game. Also, be on the lookout for the full launch, and also take a look on the Kickstarter page that I shared in my Discord and in my chat as well. Thank you, by the way. Thank you that you joined us for today's episode. Like I said, I will need some more minutes of stream, but for those who are watching us here online or will be watching back the VOD or the YouTube version later YouTube, thank you for joining us for today's episode. Have a great day, evening, or morning, depending where you live. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.